Have you noticed a very annoying clicking sound coming from reverse or first gear? If so, well then you came to the right place, because we're going to make that go away. What is going on, everybody? It's Eric and welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be working on the red 370 back there. More specifically, we're going to be replacing the axle nuts. And this here is Zola. Say hello, Zola. She's going to be helping us out today. She is a mini Aussie. So getting right to the video, we're basically going to bring the car into the garage and we're going to walk you through step by step what causes this axle clicking issue, how to resolve it, and basically show you how to uninstall the old axle nut and install the new one, and basically fix this issue once and for all. So let's get to it. Alright, so the first thing we're going to be doing is we're going to jack up the car, or at least set up the jack to where we want it to be. Usually under the bucket, the lower control arm. Right. After you got that set up, before you want to jack up the car, in case if you don't have an impact gun, usually a breaker bar and the size socket to take off your lug nuts, just break them loose, jack up the car, and then loosen them out. So let's get right to it. After you broke your lug nuts loose, you're going to want to go ahead and jack the vehicle up until the wheel is off the ground. Go. After that, you're just going to want to set up the jack stand. Just need to check those. I'm going to much better you do it frame. In my case, I'm just going to go ahead and do it that way. As well as the jack wheel there. And that's work. These are amazing. Definitely highly recommend getting one of these. You know, when the guy that changes tires or whatever, this is great. Once you got everything set up, you're going to want to zip off these lug nuts. After that, if you got spacers, you're going to want to go ahead and take them off. That way you have a good working space to get that nut off. So let's get to it. Sometimes these guys get stuck. Just wiggle them off. If you can't get it off, just use a dead blow hammer for that guy. Here's your problem right here. See, I could already kind of twist it on there. So I wanted to show you guys. This here is the old rinkety-dinkety design. As you can see, it's an axle nut with a separate retainer and a cotter pin. Our new design is basically, you know, a castle nut and then just a cotter pin. Well, brand new cotter pin. But anyways, this design fails because usually the teeth on these guys right here, see the camera can focus, they kind of bend themselves over time and then this starts to loosen itself. In short, the end of the axle shaft, which is in here, behind this is the new design, by the way. It starts spinning around, kind of like that. Think of this, like this guy right here. It starts spinning around. The splines don't catch, and that's what causes the audible clicking issue. So Nissan actually has a TSB on this issue, mainly common on certain Nissans and Infinitis, more specifically 370Zs and G37s. So first things first, you're going to want to go ahead and use some pliers. I'm going to be using needle nose pliers. You're going to want to, you know, straighten out the cotter pin. That way you could feed it through. Sometimes if you have to switch pliers, you're welcome to. Get a good feel out of it. As long as you can make this flat, that way you could just run it through. There you go. See? Flat, comes straight out. Once you're done taking this out, make sure to replace it with a new one. Never reuse a cotter pin just because they get brittle and they'll break. And you don't want that, because you want to have safety. Next you want to do is remove this axle nut retainer. So notice that I got some surface rust here on the end of the axle shaft where the threads are. I'm going to just go ahead and use some WD-40, spray it down. That way I don't have issues trying to get this nut out. Yeah, make sure to get it behind there as well. Once you let it sit about a minute or two, You're gonna go ahead and use a 32mm socket. So we're gonna get there, and we're gonna use the breaker bar to break it loose. Ah, damn! Woo! Yeah, that was on there. Once you break it loose, you want to go ahead and just run this guy down. So we'll get that in there. Woo. There we go. We got that guy out. Yeah, this one was on there pretty good. Next, you want to go ahead, grab a magnet, and just grab the good old spring washer. That way it makes it easier for you to get it out. Next thing we're going to do, we're just going to go ahead and clean this up a little bit. Make sure the threads are clean. I'm going to put a little bit of more WD-40 on here. That way, once we put the new nut in there, we have no issues trying to install it. We're going to be using some grease. This one's a high temperature red grease. And we're just going to go ahead and use like a paintbrush, something like this. If you got something smaller that fits in there, good. Anything that you could help put in there, that way you could grease it.
Sorry, I wanted to voice this in, but the proper way of doing this, you just want to push in the outer part of the axle or pry it from behind. That way you have a better access to the splines of the axle. You don't have to do this. In my case, I didn't have to just because I've had it recently done by the dealer. So we're only just going to be lubricating it from the angle that you're seeing right now.
And so we're going to grab a little bit of grease. You just want to make sure you can get it in there. So make sure to get the ends in there. Just rub that grease around in there. You want to lubricate it. Lubrication station. Haha. Yeah, that was terrible. But yeah, this will definitely help lubricate the splines. That way, again, less friction, more lubrication. Bam. Want to just clean out these outer edges as much as you can. Once you got everything set up, you're going to want to go ahead and set up your spring washers. So we got 1, 2. So the side that's facing blue, at least on mine, it came out like that. So just make sure the side facing blue faces in. Yeah, we're just going to go ahead and go with that. Next, you're going to want to put the new nut in. Remember, Castle nut. This is amazing. Look at that. Threads right in. So the torque spec on this guy, I believe, is 74 foot-pounds. So make sure to hit it with your torque wrench. We're going to hit that in there. Now, once it's torqued to spec, you want to tighten it more until you can fit the cotter pin from both sides. So just make sure both holes line up. I'm going to hit it a couple times because I want to make sure mine is tight. Remember, don't reuse the old one. Make sure to use the new one. Probably going to do it this way, make it easier on me. Go ahead and start. Make sure this guy's tight. Back in where she goes. Just wrap it around there. If you need to, cut the ends. There you go. Yeah, I'm gonna just cut this end here. Wow. Yeah, that guy just went flying. She's good here. That way this guy don't loose itself. Make sure to wrap it from the bottom to the top if you can. Just twist on there. This guy's a good safety. In case it ever wants to back out, it'll help stop it. Yep, she ain't going nowhere. That's how you do it, guys. As you can see, it really wasn't that hard. Hardest part maybe was breaking that axle nut loose. At least on my car, it was a pain in the butt. But once you get it off, you're golden. And yeah, super simple. So there you have it. That's all you got to do today. And pretty much process is in reverse. You put the wheel back on, and you test drive it. Make sure you hear no clicking noise. Same thing goes for the other side. Just pretty much repeat the same process on the other side, just mirrored out. But yeah, that's pretty much it. If someone like me can do it, I know you guys can do it yourself as well. You know, just make sure to take the right precautions, and don't be afraid to wrench on your car. If you like what you've seen in today's video, consider hitting that like button. If you like the content and you look forward to seeing more of this in the future, well then consider hitting that subscribe button and hit that noti bell.